Well, we're at the Wendlandt Ranch today, where both Wade and Steve Nessl from Yamaha have opted to take the Thompson Center Compass Rifle into the field.
Whenever I get a chance to hunt with Wade, there's usually an opportunity to hunt however I like. And Wade will sometimes say, how do you want to hunt? You know, rifle or bow? And for me, it becomes about a chance to success things sometimes, but you just can't beat going out with a rifle. So I got lucky enough to go out on a rifle hunt here on the Wendlandt Ranch, and I got the ultimate guide and budding cameraman, Scott Wendlandt. He is the guy who's responsible for the awesome deer on this property. I mean, he runs this thing with an iron fist, and for good reason. We're out to take mature bucks and mature bucks only. So armed with the TC Compass, we had 30-06, we went out and didn't have really too many hunts to try and get something done. And we had a pretty broad shooter list, everything from trophy animals to maybe a management deer, depending on what came in and what Scott was thinking. That's the beauty of having him there with me in the stand behind the camera, is we can talking back and forth, decide which animal we want to take, and so we went out, and in the first morning we got up into a stand where we were actually pretty elevated in a tree. Finally gets light enough and we can start seeing deer, and actually some of the big guys have already they've already wandered off. We're sitting there and we're looking for a couple particular deer, a couple of 8 points probably, and who knows what's going to come in when one of the shooter 8s, I think Scott said he's like 8 or 9 years old, and you can tell he's on the way down. He's not very big, probably a deer you want to take. And before we can get set up and get on him, he's actually off and wandered off. He didn't stay in the setup for maybe 5 minutes. So we've got a 9-point in front, it's too young, we've got some spikes all over the place, and we just have movement, and it's cool. I mean, I'm enjoying the morning, it's beautiful, it's cool, but not too cool, not even too warm, it's nice, and we're hanging out, and I'm learning a lot from Scott as we sit there about property, about the deer in front of us, and all in all, no shooting, but a lot of shooting of video and conversation with a guy who's teaching me a lot about deer, so nothing wrong with that. I hesitate to say I went into the evening sit with high hopes, because it was really warm, and even me, I'm still on the infancy of my hunting lifespan, I would say. I kind of knew that it was super hot and the deer might not get up and they might not move. I mean, they've got so many acorns and other food sources around that they probably ate when it was cool in the morning, bedded down. They may not need to eat, and if they don't, why get up when it's hot? So we got back up in the same spot. We get settled, and we didn't get in until a little later because it was so hot, but in plenty of time to give us at least a couple, 2-3 hours worth of hunting, and there's just nothing going on. We waited a long time. We saw a couple spikes come in, and actually one of them stomped behind us for a good 10 minutes thinking that he was going to bust us, and neither one of us cared about each other, but he finally came in and around and then wandered off, and then all of a sudden a buck comes in, and we're excited, and it's that 9-point we saw in the morning, and he again just kind of lived in front of us for the entire evening. But sad to say, other than a parade of spikes, that's about it. I mean, I'll say it was a frustrating sit, because we didn't see any of the bigger deer we saw in the morning, and we didn't see any of the shooter deer that we had on our list. It's never bad to get out and sit up in a tree, but a little frustrated. They just weren't moving as much as we wanted them to. And to be honest with you, we looked at each other and almost at the same point, we said, I think we're probably not going to come back here in the morning. And like, no, we're not. So we got down, got in the Wolverine, and headed back to camp, and then actually talked some more strategy about what do we do tomorrow morning, because the last morning, that would be my final time to hunt here in Texas this time around.
All right, it's my last morning in Texas, unfortunately. We're heading to a new spot from where we were yesterday. Deer just weren't moving enough and at the right time where we're at, so we're gonna try these tripods set up in a place in between a bedding area and some water where the deer are kind of coming through, making it kind of a transition zone. So hopefully I get lucky and we see one of the guys on the list this morning, and I can get him back, get him dressed, get him clean, get him all set up and ready to go before I have to head back to the grind of the work week. So last morning, fingers crossed, it'll be fun regardless, but we're out.
First morning, first hunt, we had deer all over the place. This was no different, except they were running all around. They were sparring, fighting. They were just having a good time. And I saw this white-faced, old-looking deer with these dark horns, and Scott said, "There's a shooter buck over there." And I kind of look at him, and I'm wondering if I'm looking at the same deer, and I was. We communicated back and forth. That's the guy we're going for, but he was the only one not playing. And what I mean by that is he looked like deer would normally look if they weren't oblivious to our presence. It's almost like he knew we were there. He's coming in, he gets into where I really would prefer to shoot him. I look at Scott, we're good to go. The deer moves to his right. And you know, it's not supposed to be easy, so we're gonna have to wait and see if he gets back into range again. So then the deer does something that I didn't really anticipate. He went back into the trees off to our right, and then he circles, he gets further away from us, and he's coming back, but he's probably 30 yards further away. And he's getting outside this little tree line, and it's not an established, there's a couple trees there off to the left. And I'm on him, but I can't tell if Scotts can see him. And then all of a sudden he stops perfectly.
Holy cow, what a morning. What a final morning. Opening deer season in Texas for me. Oh my goodness, what a morning. I think I probably just scored the most skittish deer in the field. There's so much activity. I'm surprised we got a shot off, and yet it's still early. But my goodness, he's right there. He's right there. No drama in tracking. He's right there, good shot, down deer, mature buck, 9-point, brown horns, out, comes out. Oh, that was awesome. Spooky deer. The spookiest deer, I thought he had me. He just kept looking around. He came in, he's moving slower than it. There's deer fighting for 45 minutes off to our right this morning. They're not fighting, they're just sparring. They're just messing around, having a good time. Big bucks walking around. I think maybe some does or spikes. I don't know. I was on this guy and I was afraid he wasn't going to get it. It's right there. Right there. Woo! We're still deer in the field. Yes. What a great way to end a hunt. That is awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
That deer just falls right where he is. He's done, and we're done, and we've just harvested an awesome animal on my last morning in Texas. I'm there on the Wendlandt Ranch. I've got Scott Wendlandt, the guy who knows these deer better than anybody, as my camera guy, helping me, you know, decide which is the most mature deer. And again, I probably could have picked him out because he seemed like the smartest deer in the field to me. But we just got an awesome trophy, this cool looking 8 who, you know, according to Scott, has maybe come down a little bit, you know, from year to year, but he's got dark chocolate horns. He comes up, he goes out, and then he doesn't come in, which I think is super cool. And man, he's hanging back in camp, and I've got meat and awesome experience and stories to tell for days. It couldn't be a better final hunt in Texas for me. Can't wait to get back out here.